Good evening to all of you, faithful viewers of Equinoxe Television. Thank you so much for joining us on this edition of the news. Our major stars this evening: Madame Ga Florentine remains inconsolable as it is confirmed her eldest son, Jean Besala, was murdered by kidnappers who took all her children hostage and other travelers on board a touristic bus that was in the far north region of the country. Far North Regional Governor Mijiawa Bakari says the victims who were taken hostage were taken across the borders to Nigeria. They were freed by the Cameroon Defense Forces. Our reporters were at the family residence of Madame Ga Florentine in Yaoundé this morning, and the family members are still in total shock and trauma. We will be telling you more in this news edition. Meantime, the victims are being taken care of by authorities in Marua. Plus, traffic congestion is getting worse by the day at the west entrance into the city of Douala. Despite a visit of the Minister for Public Works, travelers still spend at least 5 hours from Rai to Bikoko. Our reporter Cedric Chakutu was in Bonaberi today, and we'll be telling you the situation also in this news edition. Viewers, those are our lead stories. Details more in just a moment. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for the confidence. Thank you for being with us. The death of Brian Jean Besala, one of the children of Florentine Ga, has sent shockwaves in the hearts of family members in Yaoundé. Though happy somehow about the release of the 4 other children, the family members are hoping that the kids arrive Yaoundé safely and the corpse of their child, Jean Besala, equally be sent to them from the far north region wherever he was murdered. Our reporter Immaculate Fogwe was at the family residence in Yaoundé and now tells us more.
The Nga's family is experiencing mixed emotions after learning of the release of their children kidnapped recently. Florentine Ga, the mother of the kids, is torn between relief over the liberation of her children and grief over the loss of her eldest son, Brian Jean Besala, 19 years old, who was killed by the kidnappers. It was while watching the 8 p.m. news on Equinoxe television that the family learned of their release.
Au menu de ce 20h, le décès de l'un des otages de Zigagay se confirme officiellement. La nouvelle est portée ce soir par le gouverneur de la région de l'extrême nord, Mijiawa Bakari.
My sister and the children, while watching the news, got informed that the children have been rescued. So, they called me to come watch the news with them. We were so excited when we heard about the news that they had been released. Our joy was cut short after hearing that one of them got killed. This confirms what my children told me while they were still in captivity. Though relieved over the release of the children, family members hope that the body of the slain child will be sent back to them so they can give their son a befitting burial. I think they should have informed us, the family, first before spreading it on the media. We really felt bad hearing about the death of our son. They officially informed us on Friday morning that the children have been freed. Please, they should send the corpse of our child. Aged 18, 16, 14 and 12 years old, the children released this Thursday are expected to join their family in Yaoundé soonest.
And those released would have to be taken care of or followed up psychologically. Adopt Bungong Duval Magloire, psychologist, warns of severe post-ramifications like aggravated trauma, behavioral changes, and suicide if the children kidnapped over a week ago are released on Thursday are not immediately granted intensive psychological follow-up. He advised that their parents who have been in a traumatic state should also be taken care of. Innocent Aze reports.
Annie Florentine Ga's 4 children and others who were kidnapped on August 12 regained their freedom on Thursday. That is 10 days later. More still needs to be done in terms of psychological follow-up, knowing fully well they are traumatized, particularly with the killing of Florentine's eldest child. It is necessary for these different victims to have a psychological follow-up because being kidnapped is a traumatizing incident that leaves marks in the lives of the victims. The psychological psychologist elaborates on the form of psychological assistance the children need at this point in time.
Dans une approche immédiate,
the first thing to do when these victims are found is to grant them a medical check-up, then give them psychological help. Here, it entails a one-on-one or a group talk with a psychologist, which enables the victims to share their experience and fully let go of the traumatic experience. This happens within the first hours to the 10th day after their rescue. After this, if the victims are still traumatized, they will have to undergo other special treatments for full recovery.
Et continuer à mener leur vie paisiblement.
Considering the gravity of the trauma, they require several months of psychological follow-up.
Dans une mesure,
within a long period of about 2 to 3 months, if the victims still don't get over their trauma, they will have to be followed up for a longer period.
Une période un peu plus longue.
Parents of these traumatized children, according to Edop Bogong Duval Magloire, also need assistance.
Les parents
also need a psychological follow-up because they are directly linked with the victims and were also affected by their experience. They will have specific treatments according to their needs.
Et en fonction, bien évidemment, des besoins et des cas.
Duval Magloire warns of severe repercussions if the victims do not benefit this psychological follow-up.
On peut s'attendre.
Without this psychological follow-up, the victims will suffer an aggravated trauma, develop changes in their behavior, and might resort to suicide in some cases.
Et même des suicides dans certains cas.
Expectation is that security of citizens be of top priority wherever they are to avoid repetition of such a tragic, traumatizing and bloody incident.
And as a means to reinforce security in the far north region of the country, the 4th Joint Military Region has a new commander, Brigadier General Aga Robinson Dong. He has been tasked with restoring peace in Cameroon's far north region, an area affected by Boko Haram insurgency and also the recent kidnappings. The installation ceremony took place at the Marwa Ceremonial Ground, presided over by the Minister Delegate in charge of Defense, Joseph Betias Somo, alongside the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces, General Rene Claude Maker. Lucy Liengo is here, has the details.
Since the start of the Boko Haram insurgency in Cameroon's far north region, killings, kidnappings for ransom and armed attacks have become commonplace. The most recent kidnapping incident occurred on August 13, 2025, when 16 people were kidnapped in Zigage while on board a bus belonging to an interurban travel agency on the National Road number 1.
La région de l'extrême nord vit pour le relever. La créance de la menace terroriste Boko Haram.
It was therefore in this context characterized by insecurity that the inauguration of the new commander of the 4th Joint Military Region took place on the same day the hostages were released.
Général de brigade Aga Robinson Dong, prenez le commandement.
La 4e région militaire à mon commandement.
Brigadier General Aga Robinson Dong, 64 years old, replaces Major General Salim Muhammadu, who was unanimously praised for his work on the ground and his closeness to the population.
Aga Robinson Dong, qui a occupé jusqu'au 15 juillet.
Until the 15th of June 2025, the date of his appointment, the new commander was the commander of the 3rd Joint Military Region in Garwa in the North Region. The installation ceremony was presided over at the Marwa Ceremonial Ground by the Minister Delegate in charge of Defense, Joseph Betias Somo, in the presence of the Governor of the Far North Region, the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces, General Rene Claude Maker, the Governor of Borno State in Nigeria, and other authorities. Administrative and military authorities urged the new commander to restore peace and tranquility by intensifying patrols, especially in vulnerable areas. The head of the 4th Joint Military Region was also reminded to lead with determination so that the people of the Far North region can finally have the peace they have been praying for.
In other news, as the presidential election in Cameroon approaches, the Catholic Church has been calling on its Christians to multiply prayers for Cameroon for peace, though the Church also insists that there can be no peace without social justice. In Yagua, the Bishop of the Yagua Diocese, Monsignor Daouda, has called on his Christians to pray at midday for Cameroon on a daily basis. Mala Glory has more.
The pastoral circular titled Decision to Pray in View of Presidential Election of October 12, 2025 is issued by His Lordship Barthélemy Yaounda of the Diocese of Yagua on August 15, 2025. It coincides with the solemnity of the Assumption of the Virgin Mary, offering a distinctive call to prayer aimed at fostering national unity and a peaceful political transition. Bishop Yaounda's letter is addressed to the Catholic faithful of Yagua, a locality situated in Cameroon's volatile far north region. As the spiritual father of the Yagua Diocese, he shows a profound concern for the nation's peace, justice, unity as the elections approaches. The letter outlines specific directives, daily prayers across all parishes, missions, religious communities, and chapels within the diocese as from 12:30 p.m., reciting the Angelus prayers. The prayer is intended to entrust the nation to the Virgin Mary and imploring God genuine peace and justice, stability before and after elections. The bishop called on servants of God to ensure a strict implementation of these prayers. Bishop Barthélemy Yaounda ends by calling on everyone to take this peace mission as a personal commitment, as it is a divine gift and human responsibility cultivated through personal efforts.
And some days to the beginning of the academic year, traffic congestion continues in the city of Douala, precisely at the west entrance into the economic capital Douala. And despite the visit of the Minister for Public Works to that area, travelers still complain they spend at least 5 hours from Rai to Bikoko. Our reporter, Cedric Chakutio, was there today. He now tells us what he saw and what he heard.
Angry,
frustrated,
I don't know what I can explain about sortie of this nature because I've never experienced this since my childhood.
Road users moving in and out of Douala, coming from the west and southwest regions through Bonaberi, were forced to wait at least 5 hours on the spot.
We've been on the road since 7 a.m.
just to do a short stretch of Bonaberi. That means from Rond-Point Daido. We are not yet even at music, but we are already stuck on the spot. What country is this? I left Rond-Point Daido since 9 a.m. I know I still have at least 2.5 hours before even arriving at Bikoko, because I still have 5 to 6 hours of driving. Some who could not be patient chose to move out of their bus, carry their bags, and walk some meters away while waiting for their car.
When we are moving on the road, we don't even know the time we are going to reach our destination. So we are even surprised whether we are in our country or in a different country. We don't know. I don't know what I can explain about sortie of this nature because I've never experienced this since my childhood. By saying inside my country, moving by legs after paying the transport, you will leave the car on the way and started using a leg. I don't know. It's a city town, not even in the village.
It's horrible. Look at the road. It has been like this since 4 a.m. Use the car to fly. I'm trekking to Bekoko. If I get there at night, I'll keep moving. I'm sure I'll get there.
Depuis 7 heures, si tu veux dans l'embouteillage, les passagers sont sortis en train de marcher à pied.
Regardez l'embouteillage. Oui, c'est au Cameroun.
To some road users, this traffic is due to the dilapidated stretch of Bonaberi Rai to Bekoko.
Vraiment fatigue, donc on va dormir avant pour faire le chargement demain avant de descendre.
Trop de souffrance. Depuis le matin, le moteur tourne. Je suis en train de perdre combien de carburant? C'est énorme.
A situation which caught the attention of the Minister of Public Works, who, during his visit, gave some directive to the enterprise in charge of the rehabilitation of this road. The minister emphasized on the rapid execution of these works. This stretch faces significant challenges. The dilapidated stretch, riddled with potholes and flooded with rainwater, has made transportation difficult since some days.
Thank you, Cedric. In a moment, we tell you how Cameroon is faring today. On Cameroon today, we take you to the central region, precisely in a village called Eyo, where the inhabitants of Eyo in the Mefu and Afamba division of the central region say they have been abandoned completely somehow by the government. It's already more than 15 years that people say that the government signed a decree, the president signed a decree announcing the creation of a health center in that village. To date, no structure has been erected for the purpose, causing untold suffering to the population. Smadi can give a report.
Frustrated and disappointed, Mama Leonie supports her jaws with her hands. Since 4 a.m., I'm up waiting for a car, and since it rained, no car came into the village. That is how we suffer here. I dug out my cassava since, but till now, no car to transport me because of poor roads. We are just 45 minutes to Yaoundé. I even called the driver to come pick me up, but he said the road was too muddy. At Eyo, Chinga Eyo, in the Nkola Famba subdivision of the Mofu Afamba division of the Central region, the soil is very fertile, but during harvest period, transporting the products to the market in the main town is a headache to the natives of Eyo. Even when we harvest the crops, how do we take them to the market? The road is inaccessible. Everything you've harvested gets bad that it can't be transported to Yaoundé or Nkwaba. No roads to get into and out of Eyo. No modern school for the children to study. We have a school which has a lot of problems. The first construction was supposed to have 2 structures. It was just one which was completed and the other wasn't completed. It has already been delivered 15 years ago to the government without ceiling, window and doors. Eyo is in total trouble as no one in the village wishes to be like Papa Amuguntolo, a patriarch of the village. I can't see very clear, and as you sit in front of me, it's blurred. I only get voices when people talk around. Papa Amuguntolo is suffering from eye problems but can't cure himself because Eyo doesn't have a health center. We don't have a health center here. If a child gets sick or a woman is pregnant and wants to put to bed, to have a chance of taking them to the hospital is very difficult since we don't have a doctor. The promise of constructing a health center in the village was made to the inhabitants of Eyo and Chinga Eyo, but till date, nothing because they lack elite who could do the lobbying. They announced that they will construct a health center here. Since we don't have an elite to look up to it, we have been abandoned, but we vote whenever there is election. According to information from the chief's palace, the health center exists in the spirit world. We have a health center, but it's on paper. We have never seen the health center. It's almost 15 years now that the text came out. While waiting for the good initiative to be a reality, the natives do struggle to heal themselves when sick. There is an Anglophone guy who always moves around with his motorbike. When he meets you as sick, he does consultation and gives drugs as per your complaint, and you pay him. Sadly, even the man who hawks drugs in Eyo is also caught up in the problems faced by the natives. The motorbike that helps him is bad.
And now this news getting to us. The Constitutional Council has regretted or rejected Barrister Keremona's request to invalidate President Paul Biya's candidacy. The decision of the Constitutional Council, according to Barrister Keremona, is regrettable. For me, Amtron Sanda comes back to the verdicts of the Constitutional Council today in Yaoundé.
The Constitutional Council, according to Barrister Keremona, is regrettable.
You know, this is a serious matter. And why is it serious? On the 12th, a Cameroonian will go into the polling booth with his ballot. He's going to act for him. The president we have in this country now reigns. Maybe he reigns, but for sure he doesn't govern us.
The case filed by the opposition candidate and lawyer Barrister Tambenga Keremona argued that Paul Biya's advanced age of 92, his frequent medical trips abroad, and his heavy reliance on aid should disqualify him under the Electoral Code. Mona insists that his petition is a matter of the law and not a political attack.
It's about the soul of a nation. If you don't realize that we are talking about the soul of a nation, then you've missed it. If they've won without honor. No honor at all. The director of the civil cabinet was sitting there. He was asked to give evidence. He said, no, he has nothing to say. It was easy for him to say, what are you talking about, Mr. Muna? I was with the president this morning for 5 hours. Yesterday we worked till 11 p.m. You don't know where he is. I am there. I can tell you what he's doing. But he didn't say anything. The argument was, oh, it's a foreigner or not a foreigner.
The challenge came amid rising doubts over the credibility of the upcoming presidential election in Cameroon following the Constitutional Council's controversial decision to bar leading opposition figure Maurice Kamto from the race, a move that has sparked a wave of uncertainty across the country Cameroon as days narrow to the 12th of October 2025.
As that does it for the first part of the news, viewers. Let's meet our guests. Welcome back, viewers. Our guest tonight is Reverend Father Michael Chumbo. He is the parish priest of the St. Louis Catholic Parish in Bonaberi here in Douala, and also one of the advisors of the Archdiocese of Douala. Thank you so much, Father, for accepting to be our guest tonight. Today we are discussing the recent outings of Catholic bishops in Cameroon on the socio-political and also as well as socio-economic situations of the country. We have had daring declarations, Father Michael, from the Bishop of Bafoussam, His Lordship Paul Lonsi Kenu, that of Yagua also, and a very critical pastoral letter from His Grace Samuel Kleda, the Archbishop of the Douala Archdiocese, talking about the pastoral letter of His Grace Samuel Kleda. He insists that the huge funds which will be channeled to conduct a presidential election in Cameroon could be used to construct roads, provide potable water and other social amenities to Cameroonians, because to him, after the exclusion of Professor Maurice Kamto, the victor of the October 12th election is already known. Now, Father Michael, you work very closely with His Grace Samuel Kleda. His recent letter, was it not a little too hard, especially on the government of Cameroon?
Good evening, Anne. I'm happy to be here. First of all, the letter was addressed to everybody. He said in the letter, you see, the addressee is, he opens it as widely as possible. And secondly, my reaction by default is one of reception. My pastor speaks. I have the moral obligation to be open to it, to understand it. And in this case, I didn't have to put any pressure on myself to do so because it was so obvious. The context we all know. After what had happened at the Constitutional Council, the disappointment of everybody, I think the letter says one thing, that let's come back to the basic. Let's not forget what this is all about. Our life is not about Constitutional Council or people making decisions. Our life is not all about people selling their brothers in 30 pieces of silver to jubilate. Our life has to do with things that are concrete, that concern us. No roads, no hospitals, poor environment in which we live. The issues that he listed in the letter is that we need to remember what this is all about, bringing us back to what this is all about. And as a priest, I clearly identify to it. We live with the people. There's total misery. And I think the Archbishop was generous enough. Maybe by relying too much on statistics, he was generous in putting out some of the figures. When you, as a pastor, live with people, listen to their stories, I think it is even more urgent. About the elections, he's in no way against elections. In no way. He simply raises the question that is it necessary to go through all this when the results are known already? And I think that we know exactly what he's talking about. There's no reason to pretend here. We know what he's talking about. And it's going to be what is going to be. We all know. But that should not discourage us. I think that a dent is being made gradually into the system to make sure that things happen positively. And my greatest consolation is that those who come in power next are watching what is happening. And obviously they'll know what to do. And I think that the letter of the Archbishop and many other pastoral letters that the bishops have written will be the basis for a better Cameroon.
Father Michael, in the Archbishop's pastoral letter and the final communique of the bishops after their Bresson plenary in Boya, the heads of the Roman Catholic Church were very blunt on the suffering of Cameroonians. Now, later on, the bishops some time ago were received at the Unity Palace by Ferdinand Gongo. Does that not contradict the entire idea of standing with the Christians or the suffering masses?
I think the future of a country is not based on social media. It's not what is seen on social media and talked about that is reality. You know, the fact is very clear. No matter what the situation is, as the bishop of the president of the Episcopal Conference made it clear, the church stands for peace, and he will do anything to make sure that that peace comes forth. The church will do everything to collaborate to make sure that the future of our country stands on solid grounds. So going there, it's rather unfortunate that people interpreted the image of the Secretary General of the Presidency with the bishop is like somebody standing together with your aggressor, you know, and talking to you about peace. That is not the situation. People should not believe and listen to, people should form critical judgment on what is seen. And after stepping back initially, I was strongly, when I received it, you know, it didn't come to me. I told myself maybe our bishop should have better judgment. But with time, I see wisdom. I see an attempt to pacify the situation. I see an attempt to bring people's attention to what is necessary. The church has always written letters. The church has always made declarations about our situation. What is consistent is that the church has never given up making an effort. And I see this as one more effort towards achieving a better future, perhaps a transparent election, if that should ever happen in Cameroon. They would have participated in it. And perhaps a better future for all Cameroonians.
Thank you, Father. You told us a while ago, you told us off air that the 11 o'clock masses at the St. Louis Parish in Bonaberi is dedicated to pray for Cameroon. Thank you, Father, for accepting to talk to us on Equinoxe Television tonight. And hope you have some time for us some other time. And viewers, we thank you so much for always being there. Don't go away tonight. Our programs continue. Equinoxe Soir comes up at 7 p.m. with Sagaleng, and the news in the French language would be yours at 8 p.m. Have a blessed weekend in the company of interesting programs on Equinoxe Television. Bye-bye for now, and see you again on Monday.